Ndị be anyị kenekwanụ m unu. Anyị si ka nke onye chiri ya zelo. Anyị si n'ụbọchị nke taa mara na mma na ihe adị ka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ. Otu anyị kwuru ya, otu akwa ya dịrịrị. Ise dịka o si dị, anyị agbapụ na ọsọ ka wetara onye bụ ozi, nnukwu ozi, when I mean good news na Biafra land. If I know good news, call. According to our Finland-based activist, quote, PM Simon Ekpa, Donald Trump tweet on Biafra: he who saves his country does not violate any law. Akuna nia ya bifeka ejimake we beni wakuko no bosi urochi inketa. According to our brother, if Donald Trump put their Twitter handle, no onyo obuna na zo country ya does not violate any law. Mama una watakwali ifoku ya bifeka ejimake we bia diki ye gia igesie ya tiara ya uche gị gwa ifiche n'ụdị nke gị gbasata maka ihe ndị a niile nọ. All right, over to you, sir.
Bodies of the United Nations which exhibit a deep anti-American bias. We have an executive order prepared for your attention that would withdraw the United States from the UN Human Rights Council, would withdraw the United States from the UNRWA, which is a refugee organization, and would also review American involvement in UNESCO, which has also exhibited anti-American bias. More generally, the executive order calls for a review of American involvement and funding in the UN in light of the wild disparities in levels of funding among different countries that, as you've expressed previously, is deeply unfair to the United States.
So I've always felt that the UN has tremendous potential. It's not living up to that potential right now. It really isn't, hasn't for a long time. It has, there are great hopes for it, but it's not being well run, to be honest, and they're not doing the job. A lot of these conflicts that we're working on should be settled, or at least we should have some help in settling them. We never seem to get help. That should be the primary purpose of the UN, the United Nations, and again, it's got great potential, and based on the potential, we'll continue to go along with it, but we got to get their act together.
What would they need to do to get their act together?
Well, you got to be fair to countries that deserve fairness. They have some countries, as you know, that are outliers, that are very bad, and they're being almost preferred as countries to those that do their job and are doing a good job, and they have to really, they're going to end up losing, a lot of countries are going to end up losing their credibility like other organizations, and then they're going to be nothing. The potential of the United Nations, and not everybody agrees with me on this, the potential of the United Nations is fantastic if properly run. So we'll see what happens.
My fellow Biafrans, listeners all across the world, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending from where you're listening to the sound of my voice. Today, President Donald Trump has made a proclamation. He said, and I state, he said, he who saves his country does not violate any law. I repeat, he who saves his country does not violate any law. So in the same vein, when you look at our leader Nnamdi Kanu, His Excellency, and the Prime Minister of Biafra as well, His Excellency Mazi Ekpa Simon Njoko, it is clear, it is imperative that they have broken no law known to man, because what they were doing was to defend the land of Biafra, to protect their country, the interest of their country. They placed Biafra first, but somehow the enemies, the intruders, the invaders have come. Nigeria has come, and for 4 years and counting, our leader Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped from Kenya, taken to Nigeria, and he is still languishing in Nigeria. While on the other hand, our Prime Minister, His Excellency Mazi Ekpa Simon Njoko, is still being heard held in Finland. According to their own law, they said they're investigating all sort of things about Simon Ekpa. Even though they've brought no charges against him, but Finland has chosen to skip to the loo of Nigeria. That brought up false accusations against Simon Ekpa. Fellow Biafrans, I want you to be reassured that in Trump's hand and in Trump's time, Biafra will be free. We have 4 years to implement Biafra. We are now in the implementation stage of Biafra in the homeland. And in God's time, in Trump's time, we shall implement. Today, we see what is happening all across Nigeria. When it comes to the US aid, Nigeria, all these years, we're getting $1.2 billion from America. Only through the back door, we'll have to remit about $400,000 back to those that gave them the loan. That's the criminality happening in Nigeria. But today, President Donald Trump has stopped that nonsense, and no more funding is going to that zoo called Nigeria. Also, the one spearing the PR about the arrest of Simon Ekpa, the one speaking in all the media, the one they call the general, the so-called general of Nigeria, an Islamist, an Islamic man with a Christian name, the one they call Christopher Musa, the so-called CDS. He was the one going about all the media condemning Simon Ekpa, calling him a terrorist, calling him the killer of his people. And over time, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the media space were calling Simon Ekpa the killer of his people. But today, thanks to Trump and thanks to Canada, they now know who he is. They know the real terrorist. And today, General Musa was refused access. He was denied visa access to Canada. That should ring a bell in the heads of Finland. That the one who went around painting Simon Ekpa, a Finnish citizen, as a terrorist, today he's been marked, banned, and sanctioned from traveling around the whole world because he is the real terrorist. He is the one killing the Christians. He is the one bringing Islamification and Islamization in Nigeria. I want to call on the whole world to please read the tweet of Donald Trump with me again. He said, and I quote, "We must follow him. Listen. He who saves his country does not violate any law. He who saves his country does not violate any law." Today as we speak, Nnamdi Kanu has saved Biafra from being Islamized. Today as we speak, Simon Ekpa has saved Biafra from the intruders coming to take over our land. Today as we speak, Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Arabizi is doing a great job to make sure the land of Biafra is protected. That's what really matters. Forget the naysayers. Hence, I keep on saying this. If it is left to me, I will pitch my tent, the tent of Biafra, on the land, on the shoulders of America. Because Finland has let us down. Finland has let the Biafrans down. If they could go to bed with Nigeria, then we should have nothing to do with Finland. They have let us down. That they held a Finnish citizen without no charges for 3 months. For 3 months. A country in Europe, a country part of the EU, a country advocating for the liberation of Ukraine from Russia, is doing this to a fellow Finnish citizen. Why is that? Is it because he's black? Do you now see the double standard happening in Finland? And what's so funny is Alexander Stubb was a great friend to Simon Ekpa. When it comes to politics, they went into that same political party at the same time range. They were best of friends doing their campaigns together. But today, that same person, that same Alexander Stubb, being the president of Finland, is doing this to Simon Ekpa. Let us sink in. For some of you that think, oh, in Europe, they love you. They are your friends. You assume they love you. Well, the so-called friend of Simon Ekpa is the one incarcerating him without any form of charges brought against him for 3 months in Europe. It is never heard of. That they will hold you in solitary confinement for 3 months without any core evidence against you. It is never heard of. But the so-called friend of Simon Ekpa is the one doing this to Simon Ekpa. Hence, I'm calling out on the Biafran government. Perhaps it is time for us to leave that small country alone. That small country with a very small population called Finland. Perhaps it is time we walk away from Finland and pitch our tent in the home of America, God's own country, a country that has never let the world down. Because today the president of America is the one making the statement. And for the last time I'll repeat it, he said, he who saves his country does not violate any law. Does not violate any law known to man. I rest my case. For those that have ears, let them hear. For those that have ears, let them hear. At this point, my people, without any much further ado, I want you to listen to the words from our Deputy Prime Minister when it comes to our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, and also a warning to Finland. If you're ready, let's go there. Watch this.
Of any indictment or anything, because we know our Prime Minister didn't do anything wrong. He is doing exactly what we are doing. All the killings that the Southeast and South delegitimized governors are doing, that is what our Prime Minister Simon Ekpa was preventing. That is what Nnamdi Kanu was preventing. And the whole world has seen how Finland took away our Prime Minister. And within that period, hundreds of innocent Biafrans have been murdered by Christopher Musa and Tinubu using the reintegrated terrorists that they imported into the Nigeria territory. That is what is going on. And that is something that Biafrans have risen up and said, no more. So we are still waiting for Finland to accuse our Prime Minister of anything. They've held our Prime Minister going to almost 3 months now, 90 days. He did not commit any crime. But from what Finland has done, we have now discovered there is a history of what Finland is doing to suppress Christians, to suppress freedom of speech, and to destroy innocent Biafrans using the globalist agenda, which Finland is part of right now. That is what Finland is doing. Prime Minister Simon Ekpa has not committed any crime. You put him away now, going to 3 months, because you partner with Nigerian state, a terrorist state that have very, very low score and record in human rights. Finland is now part of that. That is exactly what they are doing. How else could one explain holding our Prime Minister for almost 90 days without indicting him yet? You isolate him. You want to break him psychologically. And you think we are just going to sit down and watch you and your cohorts in Nigeria. Your cohorts in Nigeria, they will get it real hard. It's a promise. It's a promise. Because at the end of the day, we know this battle between Nigeria and Finland and Biafra, we are going to see how it's going to end up. So we heard that some of the items they took from the Prime Minister, they are returning them. They are yet to send out any indictment. The one that we saw, I think last week, where they now said that it has something to do with a charge on the use of a name like Masters of Law, something like that. We understood that that is not true. That there's no charge like that. Maybe some nonsensical press inside Finland. Those that hate us and hate our prime minister working inside Finland, they are the one that published that, and we're told to just neglect that. Because all of us were waiting on Monday for Finland to charge our prime minister for the Master of Law case. We didn't see anything. And again, what Finland is doing is unacceptable. We have those innocent Biafrans that they picked up with our prime minister. They are still in bondage in Finland. Those innocent individuals can still not use their bank account, can still not get a job, can still not do so many things inside Finland. And some of them, they have their name on the terrorist list by the Finland government. How can you put somebody's name in a terrorist list and you've not even indicted that person as a terrorist? What country does that? You've not gone through the normal process of law. You've not proven that these innocent Biafrans, that they are terrorists. You, Finland government, you went and put the name of these innocent Biafrans under the terrorist list. Why should you do that? And you think the world does not know what you're doing? You think Donald Trump does not know what you're doing? You've not charged somebody as a terrorist. Now you put the name anywhere they go in Finland, anything they seek for is being denied because the Finland government has put their name on the terrorist list without even indicting them.
Wow.
How can we say the world, we want to make the world a better place when we have country leaders that are criminals, criminalizing innocent citizens, and they are the heads of governments? And you think you will go free?
Ndị anyị ngwadalụ dị nne n'ụdịkụ nsi wee na-esere anyị n'ụbọchị uhuruchi nkịta n'iru akwụkwọ. Gịnị ka m nwere ikwu gbasara maka ebe ifo nọ n'iru akwụkwọ nwanne anyị nwoke, one of the Finland-based activists anyị were dịka ọ kọwagasị kwuo ife dị iche iche ka ife nwere ikwu gbasara maka ebe ife drọpụrụ anyị ife iche n'ụdị nke gị na Eastern News 24 ebe anyị si wee na-wetere onye bụ ozi ya dị oke mkpa.